So in the last couple of days, there's been a surge in sales for Prismatic Evolution's normal ETBs that I wanted to cover here today to talk about because I think it's interesting to see what's going on with this product. Because, recently we've been getting a lot of restocks for just Prismatic Evolutions. We've recently gotten restocks for booster bundles. Before that, we got restocks, for surprise boxes, ETBs, PC ETBs. Just overall, recently Prismatic Evolutions has been getting a ton of restocks. And I've mentioned this before. I really thought, Prismatic Evolutions was going to take maybe a couple weeks to a month to really recover to where it was before the restocks. But looking at the sales volume here for these normal ETBs, at least for this product, it could possibly be a little bit quicker because, just in the past couple days, like I've mentioned, sales have really been high. Now, I want to show you guys this in part of the graph because I think it's interesting to see how possibly this could be exactly like what happened on the release day and when prices dropped, and how on this restock prices dropped, and how it seemingly is acting very similar. So you can see here, lowest listed right now is $125. Now, a couple days ago, they were consistently selling for around 110 to 115 bucks, and now they're at 125. Now, a $15 increase might not seem like a big deal, but they were consistently selling at around $110, and every single day they were sitting around there, and it just seemed like there was a ton of supply being dumped on the market. And just based on that, I'm like, you know what, this is probably going to take a little bit of time to go back up. But like I said, just recently, the past couple days, you can see yesterday how many boxes sold. It's pretty insane. So if you look here, just yesterday, 170 ETB sold for an average price of $120. The day before that, an average price of 108. 130 boxes sold. Before that, $110 average of 95 boxes sold. So you can see the past few days, these really did drop and bottomed out around here, and we're starting to see a huge increase in sales for these ETBs, and now they've jumped back up to 125. Now, I don't know what caused this, one day where just sales surged. It could be possibly the after effects of seeing prices drop that much and starting to go back up. That could be the case. But looking at this huge, amount of sales in this one day, and I did, do like a rough count here. There's about 150 to 200 boxes before this hits 140, where it was originally before these got restocked. So on the 7th page here, you can see, I think it's actually on the 8th page, it hits 140, which is where it was before it restocked. And like I said, I did a rough count. It's around 150 to 200 boxes before this goes back up to there. Now, I'm not saying this is going to happen in one day because people list Prismatic Evolutions ETBs very frequently. Like, this is definitely a product that a lot of people list every single day. But, this huge increase in sales volume could mean something. Could mean that people are starting to see, like, wow, this ETB went all the way down here. I have to buy before it goes up. Now, when you take a little bit of a step back and see, something similar like this has happened with Prismatic Evolutions ETBs, which was on the release day and then a couple weeks after. I want to show you guys this and zoom out here. So here was the release of Prismatic Evolutions. So they peaked at 150 on pre-order. They dropped all the way down. If you actually zoom in, at one point, it's actually a little bit hard to see here. About one point, they were very close to being like $100, and they actually started to go back up after just a couple of weeks. And you can see the drastic just price jump these saw. It's really hard to see here. I wish there was like a little bit of a slider or something, because in between the 3 to 6 months time frame, there's a better graph to actually show how quickly these jumped up. But it only took 2 weeks, right, after the release for prices to jump back up, and they jumped from like around $100 to going up to like 135, 140 in just a few weeks. It was not long, and sort of that price jump and the rebound was somewhat expected. That's why I did buy a lot of my ETBs on that drop, because it was such a great opportunity. And when you look at this graph and you see in the past month since this restock, which this was the day of the restock when supply really hit the market, I'm sort of seeing the same pattern right now. So prices were 135, right? They dropped all the way down in sub 110, and now they've jumped back up to, now I guess here's 120, but you can see lowest listed is actually 125. And I'm thinking that the pattern is going to be pretty similar, where it was a couple of weeks, which is kind of crazy if you think about, like I said, on the release day and a couple weeks after, prices, tanked and they bottomed out and then they jump back up. This is literally the same thing that's happening right now. A couple of weeks, right? This is a 1 month chart, so a couple of weeks, and they're starting to jump back up. Now, could be premature to say that this is really going to do anything and things are going to go back up to 140. It is premature to say that because it's literally been the past couple of days, but I do want to show you guys this. So if you were maybe thinking about buying these normal ETBs, maybe if you looked around and you're maybe able to find some decent deals, I really wouldn't wait. I've talked about it before. ETBs, you could say they're going to get reprinted, right? That's definitely possible. But in past history for Scarlet and Violet, you know, especially sets, we haven't really seen these reprints of these ETBs really, right? For Paldean Fates, we haven't seen any reprints, right? We saw booster bundle reprints. 151 didn't really get any reprint after the prices, skyrocketed. They only got reprints of booster bundles and poster collections and some other products. If Prismatic Evolutions is the same way, where they maybe just reprint booster bundles and stuff, this dip where you could have bought these ETBs at around $110, that would have been a great opportunity from where they were at 140. But now we're starting to see things going back up, at least for now in the short term. But this is just something to see where possibly things might actually continue to go up, and we might actually see this go back up to where it was originally. So this, like I said, could be premature. Maybe by the time you watch this a few days later, maybe this goes back down. Could happen. But this huge increase in sales that I'm seeing here shows that I think people saw, like, wow, this really dropped this far. I'm going to take my opportunity and buy it now. And I think that could definitely be something that's going on here and why prices have jumped from 110 to 125 in just a couple of days. And like I said, I know it doesn't, like, it's not much on paper, like $15, like whatever. But this sort of movement this quickly in the sales volume we're seeing here shows, in my opinion, that we might be, starting the uprise again of this product and prices going back up. So if you can find any deals, I wouldn't wait that much longer to buy these. I really thought these were going to stay in the 110s for a little bit just based on like the amount of supply I was seeing on the market. But if the sales volume continues to be this high, I think it may go up back to where it was pretty soon here. So I'm just letting you guys know this is what I'm seeing. Recently, I have bought a few more ETBs because I was able to get them for a good price. But yeah, I wouldn't be waiting. Locally, there are people like around me listing a lot of these. Not really much off of market, like around 110, 120. But check around you might find some deals out there for people selling. If you can find them for around $100, like there are some people doing that. That in my opinion is a great opportunity. But these have jumped up in the past couple of days, and it's something just to look at, just to see that these are moving. Now, if you go on eBay, you will find a few listings from like individual sellers selling them for around 110 to 120, and you could take advantage of some of these deals. Like this person's selling, if you do the math, it's like 113. There's some sellers selling it for like 120, so a little bit off of market, and you can always just see the pictures of the actual product you're getting, which is an advantage of eBay. Cases are around 1,300, so there is a small premium for them if you want a case. There's another listing here for 122, 120. So if I were you guys, normal ETBs, the surge we're seeing in the past couple of days, like I said, could be premature to even mention it, but there's been a large increase in sales. Prices have jumped back up to 125, and like I said, around 150 to 200 boxes under 140. If sales volume continues to be this high, we may see prices jump up very soon here. Now, I also wanted to just mention, like I've talked about in a separate video just yesterday, PC ETBs for Prismatic Evolutions, they're now at 250. I think these are definitely ones that you want to pick up on this dip out of, these two products. The PC ETBs, most likely not getting reprinted again. If you look at sales volume the past few days, been pretty high. If you look at how fast this goes up to 300, this first page here, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 16, 18, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 29, 31, 32, and we're basically there. So there's about 32 boxes before we hit $300. Now, look at sales volume. This day was sort of low, but it could just take a few days for this to go back up to $300. So I just really wouldn't wait much longer because this restock, seemingly the supply is somewhat thinning out. in my opinion, it was a lot quicker than I thought, because looking at how far things went downwards, that we might be in for a little bit of, I guess, of a period of stagnation and prices being low, and you would have a big window for buying these products. But looking at what's happening here with the market and the supply and the sales, some of these products are moving up a lot quicker than I thought. Now, there are a couple of products that I'm not really mentioning here, like the binders and like the surprise boxes. Those ones I'm also seeing really high sales for, so those also are still great pickups. But I mainly wanted to focus on the ETBs because sales volume has been a lot higher for the normal ones. Prices have jumped back up to 125. PC ETBs sales volume has been relatively high in the past few days, and they're being only like around like 30 boxes under $300. Really wouldn't wait around to pick them up. Now on eBay, you still are able to find them for around $240. You can also look at the pictures of them, so that's probably where I would pick up the PC ETBs. You can always look locally, but there's something to think about here with Prismatic Evolutions ETB specifically going up in price. Those are probably the ones you want to focus on first. Still, other products like surprise boxes and all those other products that you can find at a discount from where they were at before, I think those are great pickups. But I mainly wanted to talk about the normal ETBs because they have jumped back up and rebounded in just a couple of days. So something to look at. Let me know if you guys have picked any of the normal ETBs up. If you guys enjoyed this video, and I'll see you in the next one.